Give me about another VSC.
All right, sorry about that, folks. We are live again. It looks like I'm going to be doing most of the commentating tonight as BRL Blue Flag is having an issue with his mic. So that means that you just get to listen to my Texas hick voice all night long. Should be fun, right? All right, so we have another virtual safety car. I'm unsure what has caused this due to the fact that we were looking into our stream issue. But currently, let's look at HRC while we're under this VSC. He has made his way from the back all the way back up to 8th place, so it looks like he did have a decent setup on the run in the wet. BRL Skeppy had a mistake just a short while ago, and he is now in P3 with Orange crushing the Ferrari just in front of him, and Tazonic taking over the lead of this race in this French Grand Prix. Looks like the closest battle we have on track right now is going to be Ritzy Raccoon versus BRL Skeppy. Ritzy looking like he wants to make a move. He's showing Skeppy that he's there, making sure Skeppy can see him in the mirror. But with all this rain, it's very, very hard and very tricky to attempt a late braking maneuver into that Mistral chicane. So Skeppy's going to pull out a little bit of a gap on him, and Skeppy's actually now beginning to catch up to Orange Crush. We can now see a dry line developing on the track, but you can see Skeppy getting very loose. I think a lot of these drivers decided to run a partially dry, partially wet setup, so that way they would be decent once this rain stops. We are told that this rain is going to stop, so hopefully soon we'll see these guys making pit stops to get off of these wet compound tires and get on some slicks. Currently looking back in the pack, Maverick is about 8.5 seconds behind the closest car to him, and that's going to be that's going to be the Mercedes of HRC. Max Senna rounds out the top 10 in the Red Bull. Currently, he had to make a pit stop as Tazonic now sets the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:53.0. Remember, the lap record here for the FIA Formula One Grand Prix was set in 2019, just last year, by Sebastian Vettel. It was a 1:32 flat, I believe. I know it was in the 1:32s, and we've got a lot of guys purpling their lap right now. Maverick just came through and purpled his lap, so it looks like we're going to see lap times getting faster as HRC makes a move on SF1 Cardinal. HRC makes that move going down into turn 3. Now he comes into turn 5 as they're coming out of turn 6. He's right on the back of Big Mr. Brown in the Alfa Romeo. We'll be watching here to see if he makes a move on Big Mr. Brown soon. And he is using ERS. He is attacking. He's an overtake. He is going to look to make a move in the braking zone, coming down here in the Mistral chicane. They're side by side coming into it. They're at the apex. They're not side by side anymore. On exit of the chicane, you will have HRC taking over the 6th position from Big Mr. Brown. We'll have to see if Big Mr. Brown can make a run back up to him, or if HRC is just going to begin to pull away and catch up to the Haas of Mex Facetas. As it looks like Ritzy Raccoon has really caught up to BRL Skeppy again, and Skeppy hasn't really made up any more time on Orange Crush in the Ferrari for a couple laps now. But the dry line really beginning to develop as we can see the rain starting to lighten up quite a bit as Mex Senna has left the session. That's unfortunate, so one of our Red Bull drivers is no longer in their car, but Tazonic's going to cross the line now to run a 1:51.7, so that's going to be much slower than his last lap, as HRC is going to purple and set a new fastest lap of the race of a 1:50.3. So HRC really making a statement here tonight. He is on the move, trying to get to the front, as Tossin picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Maverick's in the pit lane again. He has just bolted on a set of intermediate tires. These are tires that are still made to be run in the wet. For those of you that do not know a whole lot about Formula One, there are 2 sets of tires that are made to run in wet, rainy conditions. You have the intermediate tires that are made to run in conditions just like what we have now, and then you have the wet compound tires that are made to actually part water out of the way and move water away from the tire surface. So look to see Maverick setting some fast lap times here soon. That'll help to bring him up closer to the front of the pack. BRL Skeppy, however, in third place, is making up a little bit of ground on Orange Crush just in front of him. Ritzy Raccoon still just behind Skeppy in the Alfa Romeo. He's 5/10 off of him now. As Skeppy loses out a little bit of time there, Skeppy is having a lot of issues through this sector of the track, Sector 3. He has a big moment every time he goes through that long right-hander. That's going to be the right-hander of turn 11. So turn 11 really catching Skeppy out every time he goes through it. He's able to make up time on Orange Crush the entire lap. As now Skeppy dives in, it looks like Tazonic is diving in the pit lane as well. So those two are going to be coming in and bolting on a set of intermediate tires. As HRC has now picked up a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so has Mex Face Taste. So HRC, your pole sitter, comes in, he gets a set of inners put on that car, and he comes back out right behind the Alfa Romeo. Mex Face Taste getting his new set of inners put on that Haas. Skeppy on his way out of pit lane now. He's going to come out not too far behind Tazonic. Tazonic was our leader before this pit cycle. We're going to have to see. Let's look back here at Maverick real quick. Maverick in P9, he just ran a 2-minute, 1-second lap. So I believe that was his out lap from the pit lane. So we'll have to see what he runs this time by to see exactly how much faster these tires are now compared to the wet compound. It looks like Maverick has plenty more drive coming out of that first chicane than what he did with the wet compound tires on. And the rain does seem to be easing even more and more. So looking to see probably around somewhere between lap 12 and 15. If it continues to lighten up the way it has been, we may see drivers begin to come in and actually put on a set of soft compound tires. Real quick, if you're in the chat and you're watching the stream, we'd love to see you in chat, giving us some comments, letting us know what you think of the stream. If there's anything we need to fix, if we have some sort of an error, please let us know. Sometimes we can't see the errors that y'all see. So if there is anything going on that you believe would help, please let us know in the chat. Also, be sure to check out our merchandise. You can look that up on the website. I will put in the chat here shortly, as we have drivers getting spread out now during this pit cycle. Going to take this time to thank the boys over at SNR and URL NASCAR leagues for promoting BRL all this week with all of their drivers to tune in and watch this race. We really appreciate you guys doing all that promoting for us within your own league, so that we could have some more viewership, and we can't wait to see y'all again Sunday and Friday night out there on track making all those left turns. Riding on board right now with HRC, or excuse me, HRC goes around again. He makes contact with Ritzy Raccoon. HRC was unable to hold his car underneath of Ritzy, and he got out there and gave Ritzy a little bump, and that sent HRC around. So HRC has fallen back down to 7th, and that's really going to affect his tires. As now we have a safety car. So LDR Redeemer, he left the session. I thought maybe it was just him having issues, so he decided to leave. But no, it looks like he's wrecked out. So that's going to pack everybody back together. So now we're going to see if anybody has a wacky, crazy idea to come in and pit and put on another set of tires. As we see, Skeppy has moved into P2, and Tazonic back up into P1 now that the pit cycle has finished. I'm not sure where LDR Redeemer had his incident that caused him to lose out of this race in DNF, but if I had to guess, I would say it was down at turn 11, that long right-hander just off of the Mistral Straight. You can go through that turn and overcook it when it's wet here, and you can get very, very loose in the rear end, have a little bit of oversteer, and a lot of drivers go to correct it like what they would in the dry, and they just fishtail and then they lose it into that inside wall a lot of times. So right now the safety car is currently waiting to pick up Tizonic and Skeppy, our two front runners, out of the first chicane. You can see the safety car there on the track map waiting to pick them up. As Maverick has decided to go to pit lane, we'll see what he's doing here real quick. Coming in at that very slow 37 mile an hour. It's a killer at 37 mile an hour. It's so slow. Maverick's coming in to get on a brand new set of inner compound tires and get a front wing change. So he's going to fall down to P9. He's going to lose a few more positions here. Toxin's going to get by him. Whiffy Winner's going to get by him. And it looks like Exia might pass him. Yeah, Exia is going to get by him as well, but I don't think Funky Cactus is going to have the time. No, Funky Cactus will not have the time. So Maverick gets out in P12, excuse me, I almost said P14. But let's just look into a few things. Your biggest mover of the race so far is going to be the Ferrari of Orange Crush 192 up here in P3. He started in 13th, and he has moved his way up into the third position, up into the podium positions. So that's a great run for him for the first 8 laps of this race, as we now sit behind the safety car. And one of the biggest losers of this race right now is going to be Maverick, because he just made that unscheduled pit stop for a wing change and some new inners. So here shortly, we'll see once we go back to green, once the safety car goes in, which will probably be next lap or the lap after. I'm going to guess lap after. We should have everybody ready to go, but Maverick will most likely be one of the faster cars on track due to the fact he's got that fresh rubber. Excuse me, I decided to take a quick break for a drink just then. So looking at a few things, currently we have... These things aren't changing. Come on. There we go. So everybody on track now has made at least one visit to their pit crew, to their race engineers, seeing them coming down the pit lane. But we have had 5 cars that have seen their engineer and their guys in the pit lane, visiting them twice already. Whiffy Winner has visited them twice, as well as Exia, Maverick, Funky Cactus, and Wiser Square. Just looking now, it looks like the rain has not gotten any lighter since the last time I spoke about the rain. So it looks like we're going to see these guys on the inners for a little longer than I thought. We were told from Mattia Bonato in the Ferrari garage that there would be some dry racing later on, that there would be the rain moving out of the area, and that the circuit would dry up and we would have cars racing around on the dry compound. So anxious to see that. But looking right now, probably the car that is sitting prettiest is going to be Maverick. He is all the way down in P12 right now, but he does have brand new tires on this car that have not seen a hot lap on them yet. So once we get going back to green, he will probably be the fastest car on track, and he'll be able to move very quickly. Looking back up here at BRL Skeppy and Tizonic, they are currently doing their damnedest to keep as much heat in these tires as they can. Looking to see if the safety car will be going in this lap. We do have the entire field back together except for Wiser Square. Wiser Square is still lagging behind. I believe he made a late pit stop and is now catching the back of the pack. Not sure. We may have the safety car out for one more lap. Yeah, we're going to have the safety car out for one more lap. So that's good for Tizonic, because that's one less lap that he has to worry about fighting anybody behind him to keep this lead. So if you're just now joining us, just a quick update. We did have an issue with our stream earlier on, but that has been remedied. Unfortunately, there is an issue that has not been remedied yet. My co-commentator and the entire orchestrator of this stream, BRL Blue Flag, is having an issue with his mic that is causing some sort of a feedback loop, making it to where everybody can hear him twice, and he has a really, really horrible echo. Sounds like a 45-year-old truck driver going down the highway on a CB radio. So unfortunately, we're most likely not going to hear from Blue Flag for the rest of the race, but Blue Flag will hopefully be keeping tabs on who I'm talking about and what I'm watching and the drivers that I'm looking at on track, so that way we can bring y'all the best coverage possible, as Big Mr. Brown has picked up a time penalty. A lot of cars with time penalties. It's kind of unfortunate that you pick up a time penalty for exceeding track limits under the safety car, but we do see it happen, especially seeing as how it's wet. Guys are trying to keep the heat in those tires, and the safety car just goes so agonizingly slow around this track. The Mercedes pace car just not really fast enough. As we've now gotten the word from race control, the safety car will be in this lap. Tazonic slowing everybody down, trying to back the pack up now. As we are about to go green, I'm anxious to see where Tazonic is going to step on the pedal. So he will be given the all clear that he is allowed to go from race control, and then we'll just wait to see when he steps on that loud pedal. You can see that the safety car is still not that far away from him. I'm surprised he's not allowing the safety car to get further away. So right now, Tazonic looking to come onto the front straightaway. He's going to take off right here out of this corner, most likely. Yes, there he is. There he goes. We are back to green flag racing here at Circuit de Paul Ricard with BRL Skeppy trying to hunt down Tazonic coming into turn one. Big Mr. Brown not too far behind the car in front of him. Space Taste just behind Ritzy Raccoon, as Ritzy Raccoon would look like he might have gotten a little cheeky there and was thinking about making a move on Orange Crush, but Orange Crush making some good defensive moves there into turn one, into that first chicane to hold him off. BRL Skeppy losing out to Tazonic a little bit. He's 7/10 back now as they come into turn 5, this very tricky turn 5. It's very, very slow. As you come into turn 6, you really got to play with the throttle, even when it's dry. As we see Whiffy Winner falling down the order, Whiffy Winner must have made a mistake just then. Toxin, our car that didn't even set a lap in qualifying, now up into P9. He's had a pretty clean race so far today from what we've seen. Good to see the Red Bull driver moving up in the positions, but Whiffy Winner right on the gearbox. He's looking to the inside. He thought about it, but Toxin outbrakes him in the braking zone into the Mistral chicane. He is going to keep that place. Maverick making a move. He's now up to P11, and we're going to have another safety car as Weiser Square has had an issue in the McLaren. It looks like he had an issue at the Mistral straight. He did. Oh, that's unfortunate. Wonder if he hit another car in the braking zone and lost his left or right front suspension. That is something that I have seen here before. Unfortunate for Weiser Square after he had a decent finish last week at Canada, to see the McLaren out early here on lap 11. Excuse me. So that's going to bring out another safety car here in BRL Formula One Tier 2. Funky Cactus running back here in 13th. Mex Senna in last currently. Mex Senna with some damage to the front end of his Red Bull. Possible contact may have happened, as we've got quite a few drivers, one driver, BRL Exia, making a move into the pit lane. And it does look like the rain might be starting to slow down. You can see he's coming in. He's going to get some new inners put on that car. You can see just in front of his pit box, Funky Cactus has come in. He's got a brand new set of inners put on his car as well. So not much to talk about right now. We did have some good racing right there as we went back to green flag, but unfortunately the safety car has come back out due to an incident. And now Toxin picks up a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with the car in front of him of SF1 Cardinal, and Whiffy Winner picks up a time penalty for cutting the corner, possibly doing it on purpose. So just taking a little break here. Excuse me, I had to get me a sip of something to drink just then. So now we have 9 cars that have only made one stop. The top 9 in the running order currently have only made one pit stop, whereas everyone behind them has made 2 or more, as Toxin just almost passed SF1 Cardinal under yellow. Toxin having some issues here under this safety car that's causing the pack behind him to almost hit each other. Everybody needs to be really careful right now to not incur any more penalties. But looking back up toward the front to Zonic, still in P1 with Skeppy right behind him, as Orange Crush is now behind them. Orange Crush is still going to be your biggest mover of the race, doing very well today in P3 in the Ferrari. The Ferrari camp should be happy with him right now. He is up 10 positions from where he started. He is started in P13. He's now in P3. So he is your biggest mover of the race. Another big mover is going to be Big Mr. Brown in the Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo should be very happy with Big Mr. Brown right now. He is up 8 positions from where he started. So good showing from the Alfa Romeo camp so far, as Big Mr. Brown is currently in 7th, and his teammate in the other Alfa, Ritzy Raccoon, is currently running P4 and has shown good pace today. Max Face in the Haas has shown pretty decent pace today. Let's watch as the rain begins to lighten up even more out here on the track. HRC, or pole sitter, was involved in an accident early on. They didn't even make it through the first turn before HRC was involved in his first incident in BRL Formula 1. So he fell all the way to the back. So he has come all the way from the back up to P6. He was fighting with, I believe, Ritzy Raccoon earlier to try to make it into P4 or P5, and actually made contact with Ritzy Raccoon, causing HRC to spin out and fall back down the running order just a little bit. But he is currently back up in P6, so good run from him so far today. Just looking at tires currently, we have Whiffy Winner in the Toro Rosso. He's going to be on the oldest set of inners out there. He pitted for those inners 8 laps ago, so his tires will be hurting here within the next few laps. And then quite a few guys pitted for tires right at the same time, but Maverick, out of the top 10, having the newest set of inners. And then everybody behind him is on brand new tires, as the safety car is going to be coming in this lap. So we're going to go back to the front of the field and watch as, excuse me, as they come into pit lane, or excuse me, as they are coming around to make this green flag run begin. And the rain has stopped, ladies and gentlemen, as they take off now out of the final hairpin, coming down the pit straight. The rain has stopped. And Toxin's going to be the first car to make the strategy call to go into pit lane to try to get a set of dry compound tires. As we see Skeppy falling back off of Tizonic just a little bit. Whiffy Winner makes a move on Maverick. Maverick loses out to Whiffy Winner, but he has gotten by SF1 Cardinal, I believe. SF1 Cardinal made an error during that first chicane, and BRL Maverick now up into 7th. Oh, as he's made a mistake, he's out braking himself, it would appear. He gets a 10-second time penalty for that corner cut as he falls back in line behind the cars that he passed back down into P9. Let's look back up front as Skeppy has fallen back off of Tizonic quite a ways. He's now 7/10 back. Orange Crush just 8/10 behind him, with Ritzy Raccoon just off his gearbox. as HRC looks like he might have made contact with another car, and McSpace falls way down the running order. It looks like McSpace might have had contact with HRC as they were coming into that chicane, so it's unfortunate for him. And who is this? Big Mr. Brown having a big moment in turn 11. He has lost out. He has now dropped down to 8th place as they run out of turn 11 now, and we've got yellows in sector 3. It looks like we've got a Renault. Who is that? Oh no, that's the Haas of McSpace. His tires are completely overheated, and now he resets to the track. So unfortunate for him. Toxin, he's on the mediums. He's your first car on that set of mediums. Tazonic sets the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:46. HRC in the Mercedes has now ducked into pit lane. He's going to go with a set of medium compound tires. But as he pulls in, he's serving a penalty. So he's serving a 5-second penalty for something that happened earlier in the race. Big Mr. Brown now making his trip down pit lane. He's going to get a set of dry compound tires as well. And it looks like Mex Senna does as well. So 4 cars now have decided to come in and make that stop, as we have BRL Maverick and BRL Exia all over each other here through turn 5. As Exia makes a little bit of a mistake, that's going to give Maverick the opening he's been looking for. Maverick coming out of turn 6, very sideways, getting a lot of oversteer out of that Renault. Renault struggling today with that oversteer that they've been having out of turn 6 and turn 11, but Maverick makes the move stick. He moves down to driver's left to defend from BRL Exia, and he moves back up, seeing Exia is not going to try to make a move into this turn. Maverick cleanly takes the 6th position as we get more flags in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Looking back up front, Skeppy has made a mistake. Skeppy's had an issue. He's fallen out of 2nd place all the way back down into P6, now into P7 as you see him taking out that braking board there. Unfortunate for for Skeppy. Now he falls back into P8 as he loses out to SF1 Cardinal. These guys may be needing to make that move over to that dry compound. Exia has lost quite a bit of time on Maverick. I'm not sure if he lost that time on Maverick due to a mistake of his own, or if Skeppy came out in front of him by a little bit and hindered his lap just then. McSpace picks up a 3-second time warning, or a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Excuse me, I'm talking so much I'm forgetting how to use my mouth. So SF1 Cardinal now moves up into P5. So Whiffy Winner, Tazonic, Orange Crush, Ritzy Raccoon, and Cardinal all not pitting yet. Maverick going with the hard compound tire, as Exia is going to come out of pit lane right behind him on the mediums. Skeppy on the mediums as well. Funky Cactus now in the racing point, coming down the pit lane to make a visit to his pit crew to get a set of what looks like medium compound tires as well. So Maverick, the only driver going for the hards, looking to make that hard compound last till the very end. And Orange Crush catching up to Ritzy Raccoon. These guys, oh, there's a virtual safety car. I'm not sure what has brought out this virtual safety car, but we are under virtual safety car. It's unfortunate for our leaders that it didn't come out just a little bit later. Tazonic could have pitted under that virtual safety car and not lost as much time. So looking for this VSC to end, we got a lot of drivers out of the track right now that are saving up ERS. They're not deploying anything right now. They're trying to save everything that they can so that way they can have as much charged up in the battery once we go green, which we are now back to green flag racing, and DRS has now been enabled. Race control has just told us that DRS has been enabled, and Skeppy is now out of the session. Skeppy has made a mistake at the Mistral chicane all the way from P2 to DNF. That's super unfortunate for Skeppy. He's made a mistake at the Mistral chicane, and it looks like he has bended into that driver's left wall, so it's very unfortunate for him. As we now see our front runners in pit lane, Whiffy winner serving a time penalty as he's going to bolt on the soft compounds. All top 5 that just came in are going to bolt on the soft compound tires, so they're, I don't know if they're within the pit window to make that work. I think you would have needed to go to about lap 20 before you could pit for the softs. I think these guys are going to have to make another stop. But Maverick up into P4 now after that pit cycle. He's on the hard compound tire. He is definitely going to the end. Just 5 seconds behind the driver in front of him. We'll have to see if Maverick's able to make up this time and catch anybody else. As Toxin passes Exia, as Exia is in pit lane getting a front wing change and a set of soft compound tires. Unfortunate for the McLaren, he was running closer to the front just before this pit stop, so unfortunate to see him fall basically to the back as he's taking this pit stop. Currently, your 2 closest battles on track at the moment are going to be SF1 Cardinal versus Maverick, as SF1 Cardinal makes a mistake there in turn 11, or turn 10. The long sweeping right-hander with no camber on it whatsoever. He makes a little bit of a mistake there. He's on the soft compound tires, so he should be able to catch up to Maverick rather quickly. But we'll have to see if his tires fall off as I expect them to. Raccoon on the soft compound right behind Orange Crush, trying to catch up to the Ferrari to make a pass here as DRS is enabled. He does get that DRS and he closes in on the Ferrari a lot in the braking zone, trusting the Alfa Romeo quite a bit into turn 1. They come out of the first chicane and it looks like Orange Crush has fallen behind. Yeah, he has fallen behind Ritzy Raccoon almost on purpose. He braked very early, staying to driver's left, almost like he wanted Ritzy to pass him just then. So not sure what's going on there as Maverick has just pitted. He's just put on a set of soft compound tires. So now I believe Maverick will be able to go to the end on these tires. I'm not sure why he pitted for the hards and then now has pitted only a few laps later to put on the softs. Whiffy winner now in P4 with SF1 Cardinal right behind him. Cardinal going to be falling behind here. It looks like Cardinal is starting to struggle in the Haas. HRC, your pole sitter, still back here in 6th place, trying to make up ground on the cars in front of him. Unsure if he's going to be able to catch anyone out there. They are all well in front of him. He is making up time on them, about 3 or 4 tenths a lap on average. So he is pushing currently, but we'll have to see if the soft compound tires begin to fall off, like I think they will. If they don't, then it doesn't look like we're going to see HRC moving up the order anymore today. But let's move back up to the front. Whiffy winner has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:37 on that soft compound tire, as we see him making his run out of the first chicane now, coming down into turn 3, into this hard braking zone that you can really eat a lot of that curb on the right, and he makes a mistake there. He gets back on the throttle and goes very wide on entry, as Orange Crush gets very loose on the run up the hill onto the Mistral Straight. He got very loose. I thought he was going to lose the car and go off into the wall. So good save by Orange Crush as Maverick now picks up a time penalty. Maverick in 11th place as BRL Exia in the McLaren now comes through to set your new fastest lap of the race, a 1:35. So Exia showing great pace, but unfortunately is all the way down in P12, basically out of contention to try to make up any more places. Maverick in the Renault in P10, though, he is catching up to Toxin F1. I've been watching that time gap get smaller and smaller and smaller ever since Maverick came out of pit lane. He is going to pass Toxin most likely in the next DRS straight. If he does not do it sooner, we'll ride on board with Maverick here as they go through turn 10 and he's getting very close. He's going to look down the inside into the braking zone of turn 11. Very tricky maneuver here to stay down low enough and not hit the car next to you, but he's going to make it stick and make it work and make it look very easy as he makes that run out of turn 11 up into turn 12 into this small little very technical section. As HRC in the Mercedes now sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:35 on the medium compound tires, and he has really caught up to SF1 Cardinal. Not sure what is going on with the Haas right now. It's almost driving like it does in real life. It's almost like he's completely used these tires for everything they were worth within 2 laps. He is really falling back into the clutches of HRC. So HRC is going to move up into the top 5 here very shortly, I do believe. As we'll stay here with HRC, as it looks like he is going to be the closest car on track to the car in front of him. He's now within 1 second of the car in front, making very, very good time on the Haas in front of him. He gains 2/10 in just the Mistral chicane. Coming through turn 11, the Haas looks to be very good through turn 11. He actually puts a little bit of time on HRC, so HRC's struggling a little bit there through turn 11, or excuse me, turn 10 and turn 11. But let's move up to the front real quick to Zonic, doing everything he can to stay out in front of this race. He really, really just needs to set his car into the cruise mode. He needs to hit that cruise button and just let the car do the work. Don't try to overdrive it. He is 8 seconds clear of the car in second place. He's doing a great job today of managing his own race, doing exactly what a driver needs to do to win here at the French Grand Prix. 8 seconds clear now of the car behind him as BRL Maverick comes through to set the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.9 on that soft compound tire. Would not be surprised to see Maverick catch up to the likes of Mex Senna before long and make a move on Mex Senna. So right now we'll look back here in 8th place as Mex Senna is all over the gearbox of Big Mr. Brown. He makes the pass on Big Mr. Brown. A beautiful move by the Red Bull driver as HRC sets a new fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.8, just barely edging out Maverick. Excuse me. Mex Senna coming onto the front straightaway. It looks like the battle between Senna and Big Mr. Brown has brought BRL Maverick up into contention with the other 2 drivers. So Maverick going to be looking to make his moves on these guys very quickly, as we see Big Mr. Brown go just a little wide there on an entry into turn 1. Just going to follow along with these guys right now as they are the closest battle on track. There are currently 6 laps to go. We're on lap 22 of 27. Zonic is your leader, currently running out in front, 7.2 seconds clear of the nearest car to him. But BRL Maverick and Big Mr. Brown looking to catch up to Mex Senna and try to make a move on that Red Bull to try to get around him. Maverick has used a lot of his ERS charge that he had. He's got 43% charge in his battery currently. Big Mr. Brown running with about 25% as he is in his maximum deployment load, running ERS overtake, deployment mode 4. He just lost a lot of his battery power just then. And Mex Senna really having almost no charge in the battery whatsoever. Maverick having the most charge out of the 3 drivers here in this grouping. So Maverick most likely going to be able to make a move here within the next 2 laps or so. So right now, as we're following along with Maverick and Big Mr. Brown, Maverick and Big Mr. Brown are actually beginning to lose touch with the Red Bull of Mex Senna. Mex Senna has actually been able to pull away from these two guys by over a second and a half now. So Maverick is going to have DRS, but the car in front of him, the Alfa Romeo, is not. Maverick going to move to the driver's right of the Alfa Romeo. He is going to make that move down the outside. And now this sets him free onto the Red Bull in front of him. As Maverick gets a little wide there on exit, going over the curbs. That may have been another warning. He does not need any more penalties this race, for sure. Just real quick, want to throw some names out there for our sponsors and our affiliates. Rogue Energy for a great energy drink. Make sure that you look into getting you some Rogue Energy. Into the AM does a great clothing line if you're looking to get some great clothes. Some merchandise, look into the AM. They'll do a great job and they'll take care of you every time. Gamer Grind Coffee, I can speak personally to their coffee. I drink it every day. It's a great thing. It helps me get up to work. It helps me get up in the morning and go to work every day. It helps me come home and stay up all night, so that way I can do what I'm doing right now. It also helps me to stay awake during BRL F1 league races that I take part in as a driver. And also, don't forget about Vertigear. Vertigear makes the best gaming chairs you will ever buy. So make sure that you look into Rogue Energy, Into the AM, Gamer Grind Coffee Company, and Vertigear. And just want to throw out something else real quick. Don't forget to tune in just after this race, about 1 hour after this race concludes. Well, not really, more like 30 or 45 minutes. We will have BRL F1 Tier 1, some of the fastest drivers in the world on track here at the French Grand Prix as they're racing on track. Maverick tried to make a move on Mex Senna but could not make it stick through the Mistral chicane. They went side by side through the first portion of that chicane. Maverick trying to make a move down the... What just happened to Mex Senna? What happened to Mex Senna? He's gone.
He's DCC.
Oh no. Oh, that was going to be some good racing. I wanted to watch that. Alright, so Maverick gets that position fairly easily. The car basically disappeared in front of him. So Maverick now up into P7. He's just outside of DRS range of Big Mr. Brown. As Maverick makes a mistake there on exit of the turn, that's going to bring Big Mr. Brown right back into contention. And Big Mr. Brown, he gets into the wall as Maverick moves over. While Big Mr. Brown was almost already there. Big Mr. Brown having to make some evasive moves to miss Maverick. Big Mr. Brown probably not going to be happy about that move Maverick just made. I'm willing to bet that Big Mr. Brown now has front wing damage. He might be missing... Yes, he is. He's missing that left front end plate on his front wing. So that is going to severely impact his ability to maintain his position throughout the rest of this race, as we now only have about 2 laps to go as our leader to Zonic well out in front of the pack. Still 7 seconds clear of the closest car to him, now coming through the final portion of the track, now in the final turn, coming onto the pit straight. He's going to start our 2 final laps of this race. Just looking back further in the pack, SF1 Cardinal has caught up to Whiffy Winner. Cardinal now within 0.4 of a second of Whiffy Winner. Might get a little cheeky here right at the end of the race and try to make a move on Whiffy Winner here into turn 1. We ride along as they make their run down the pit straight. Unfortunately, SF1 Cardinal does not have a lot of charge in the battery to deploy right now, so that's seriously going to affect how much of a run he can actually build on Whiffy Winner to get this pass made. Real quick, just want to let all of our viewers know, if you are enjoying this stream, please like and subscribe. If you're watching with us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Come back every week to watch Breakout Racing League Formula 1 Tier 2. These are some of the greatest drivers to watch, as now SF1 Cardinal gets a great run on Whiffy Winner. Nothing Whiffy Winner can do to stop this charge from Cardinal. Cardinal going to get the job done into the Mistral chicane and attempt to pull away from the car behind. As we now look just a little further back in the pack, Big Mr. Brown losing out after that contact with the wall, after that questionable move by BRL Maverick. Toxin and Funky Cactus have now both passed him. So Big Mr. Brown really needs to hold on here so that he can get 1 point, one championship point for his car and for himself in the standings. Also, don't forget, I know I was talking about it earlier, but I wasn't able to finish talking about it. After this race, tune in at 10 p.m. Eastern to watch BRL F1 Tier 1, as HRC is now going to look to make a move on Orange Crush. He makes contact with Orange Crush into the first chicane. He cuts the first chicane. He has completely cut that first turn and has now tried to make it through the second turn, as now Orange Crush pulls back in front of him in the braking zone, coming down into 3, now through 4, Orange Crush in front. As they now go through 5, Orange Crush gets a little wide, and HRC is now going to go through, and that's going to give Orange Crush DRS, I believe. Yes, it does. Orange Crush going to get the DRS and try to get back by the Mercedes here on the straightaway. He's in a good position to do it, as long as he doesn't, he overbraked himself. And the Ferrari loses out to the Mercedes. You can see the Ferrari really beginning to struggle on these older soft compound tires. That's going to bring HRC back up into the podium positions. So he, as long as he doesn't make a mistake through these last few corners, he is going to podium in his first race in BRL Formula 1 Tier 2. As we see Tazonic, your leader, has done well all day long. He did very well early on to stay out of trouble. And now we see him coming out of the final turn for the very last time. Tazonic is going to be your BRL Formula 1 Tier 2 French Grand Prix winner. And Ritzy Raccoon coming home in P2. HRC going to come home in P3. A wonderful job by our HRC loses out on the podium. HRC has lost out on the podium due to penalties. Orange Crush is now on the podium, getting that Ferrari onto the podium in P3. So your podium drivers are going to be Tazonic, Ritzy Raccoon, and Orange Crush. HRC losing out on the podium to Orange Crush due to penalties, as Maverick gets a 5-second time penalty added on to his finishing time for not serving a penalty in the pit lane. SF1 Cardinal in P5, Whiffy Winner in P6, Toxin P7, Big Mr. Brown made his way back up into 8th after the contact with the wall, after battling Maverick down the pit straight. He's going to make his way back up to 8th for a decent finish for him today. Funky Cactus in 9th, and I didn't get to see who it was in 10th, but we will get that for you here shortly. What a race today here at Circuit de Paul Ricard, as you can now see the drivers coming out onto the podium. Great to see a Toro Rosso standing on the very top of that podium once again. It's not something that we get to see all the time, but it's great to see Tazonic getting the win for his team and for himself today. Doing a great job for Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso should be very happy with his performance today. Ferrari coming home with a decent P3, and Alfa Romeo with a great day in P2. So everybody should be pretty decently happy with how they finished, probably except for Skeppy. Skeppy's going to be very mad at himself for a few days, but he'll probably get over it. So just running down the order real quick, Tazonic P1, Ritzy Raccoon in 2nd, Orange Crush in 3rd, HRC, his debut race in BRL in P4, SF1 Cardinal in 5th, Whiffy Winner in 6th, 7th, Toxin. And remember, Toxin did not even qualify today, so Toxin coming all the way from the back to finish 7th. A very good showing for the Red Bull today. Big Mr. Brown in P8, Funky Cactus in P9, Mex Senna in P10. Maverick loses out on some positions there at the very end due to some unserved penalties. He's going to be in P11. Mex Face Taste in P12. and then we have BRL Exia in P13 as a do not finish. BRL Skeppy did not finish the race. Wiser Square and Redeemer did not finish the race as well. So now as we load back into the lobby, we will do our best to get our podium drivers into the interview booth with us. We'll just have to wait for our screen to load here. I guess I probably could have been doing that, but I'm doing other things. So here we are. We're going to find our podium drivers. We had Orange Crush as a podium driver today. So we really had a great race today, the best of all three worlds in Formula One. We had a very wet start to this race with everybody starting on the wet compound, and then it transitioned over into the intermediate compound tires, and the race started to get a little faster. And then we had finally the rain stopped after the second safety car went in to the pit lane and the race was getting back underway. The rain finally stopped, and then now it went to dry, and we had some great battling going on track in that dry weather. And now I believe that we have all of our, oh no, we're missing our race winner. Where's our race winner? He needs to get in here. I want to talk to him. Well, while we're waiting on our race winner to join the party with us, let's talk with the other two drivers that were standing on the podium today. We'll start with Orange Crush. Orange Crush, you had a great drive for Ferrari today. They were certainly showing off the power unit once the dry weather came to life and all the dampness on track went away. Talk us through the last few laps fighting with HRC to try to stay on the podium, and then at the very end getting the podium because of HRC's penalties.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought he was further back, and I was worried about Whiffy catching me. Then all of a sudden, HRC appeared out of nowhere, and I think it was the second to last lap he caught me. It was the last lap he caught me going in the last lap, and he kind of nudged me a little bit on the front straight. Then we all made it through. So I don't know when he picked up that last penalty, but it was great racing, I thought.
Well, we had a lot of drivers pick up penalties today. Penalties definitely came into play, which was unfortunate for the racing on track. But you had a great race today. You started well down in the running order. Remind me if I'm wrong, but you started in P13 today, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah, so to go from P13 to P3 and finish on the podium and hold everybody off behind you, that's a great day that you should be very proud of. It's great to see you out on track today. Can't wait to see you next week. Where are we going to be next week? Let's see. This week was France.
Austria?
Yeah, Austria. I think you're right. Yep. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Only 9 turns at that track. You don't have as much to worry about. Are you feeling good going into Austria next week, or do you think that it's something that you're going to have to work on?
I feel great. I just had a race in another league earlier today at Austria, and I came from, I think, P16 and finished P4, so I feel comfortable going into the next race.
Well, hopefully it's not a streak that we're going to see from you. I don't want to see you qualify in the back every time and have to race your way to the front, but it sure is exciting when it happens. Orange Crush, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the podium. Moving on to Ritzy Raccoon in P2. Ritzy having some contact earlier on with HRC as HRC was battling to try to get past him. Ritzy, just talk us through that battle that you had with HRC, causing HRC to spin out in the first chicane, and then talk us through just protecting your position for the rest of the race so that way you could come home with this P2.
Well, actually, what happened there was when I was coming out of the pits, what's his name? HRC was fighting with Orange Crush, and I think HRC dove too deep, so I didn't really get to fight HRC, but I did get to see a good view of the spin though. So, but yeah, for the end of the race, it was very interesting with the tire strats, because I'm pretty sure I was about to like lose 2 tires, and I was anxious to see him go, but made it home.
Yeah, I was very, very contemplating up here in the booth, wondering what you guys were thinking when you pitted off of those inners for the soft compounds. We weren't sure if they were going to be able to make it to the end and still have pace, or if the guys that had pitted behind you and got on the mediums were going to overtake you in the last few laps of the race. What made y'all decide to go on the softs at that point? Because it was only lap 17. You still had 11 laps to race. So that's a lot of time to spend on those tires. What made you, go with that decision?
Well, it was only like 10 laps, and it was a hard push and definitely a big save, but it was all down to Taz. He came up with the strat, and I decided, you know what, I might follow him in. So, yeah.
Hey, monkey see, monkey do. It's not a bad thing to do every once in a while. But we appreciate you being here today. Are you looking forward to Austria next week, or is Austria a track that you're going to be worried about, or do you think that you can continue your showing today and possibly stand on the podium next weekend?
Well, Austria is actually, I really like the track. It's definitely very flowing. You can get it right, and it's very short, obviously, like with 9-10 turns. So I don't know. We gotta see. It's too soon to call, I guess.
Well, we appreciate you being here in the booth with us. Congratulations on P2. Can't wait to see you on track next Saturday at Austria. We hope that you have a good week. Moving on now to our race winner, Tizonic. Congratulations. You drove an amazing race starting in the second row or the third row, I believe. And you were able to get through that first bit of craziness in the very first chicane of the race. Where HRC spun out, and you were able to work your way to the lead and hold that lead for the rest of the race, and then you built a tremendous gap on the cars behind you, and then you just pretty much hit the cruise button, man. Great race today. Talk us through it.
Yeah, thanks guys, first of all. I don't know, turn one's a bit of a mess really. I made it 3 wide briefly, and I went to back out, and all of a sudden, I think it was HX3, I can't remember his name, tag quite correctly, but he was like mid-spinning in front of me, and we didn't make contact like during his spin, so I was like pushing him around the corner with my front wing. Happily he sort of dislodged now to cut the corner a little bit, but I'd already lost plenty of time, so I didn't gain an advantage. And after that it was just following 2 Renaults really, and then Maverick I think had an issue in the last corner who dove over to the pits or something. And then a couple of safety cars came out, and then I got past Skeppy because he made a mistake and he crashed out behind me, which was a real shame, so I could have had a really good battle with him. And then yeah, I just put onto the softs at the end, because I thought the softs could go 10 laps, or at least just go 10 laps, but I probably should have gone the mediums in hindsight, but I had to save the tyres towards the end of the race because I was, like Ritzy, I was really struggling in terms of where I thought they were going to burst, so I had to really put it on cruise and just bring it to the flag.
Well, congratulations. You did bring it to the flag, and you got a great win for Toro Rosso today. It's good to see a Toro Rosso on top of the podium at France. Are you thinking that you'll be able to be a big contender throughout the rest of the season and possibly win some more races throughout the rest of this season of Tier 2, or do you think that you'll just be on the podium for the rest of the season? This might be the only win that you get.
I don't know, it depends really. There's a couple of tracks ahead that I do quite like, Hungary for example, and Spa. I do like those kind of tracks coming up, but it just depends if it rains really. I do quite like the rain. I do find it quite interesting at least, and I find it enjoyable to drive.
Relaxing.
But yeah, it'd be good to get some more wins and some more podiums, but I'll have to see really.
Right, well, I mean, how do you feel about going into Austria next week? That's a track that only has 9 turns, but you got to hit every single one just right. Do you think we'll see you on the podium next week?
I'm relatively confident at Austria. I quite like the track. Again, as Richard said, it's quite flowing. But as it's such a short track, everyone's going to be really close together on the grid, so one lap's going to change it all really in qualifying to get you up to the top. And I'm not much of a qualifier, so let's just hope I perform, and then yeah, we can see where I end up at, but it'll be a close one for sure.
Well, it would seem that the rain gods have definitely been on your side lately with a couple of rain races in a row here, and you having some very good showings. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you racing and doing a great job of it at that. Hope you have a great week and can't wait to see you at Austria next week. Blue Flag, I believe that this is going to go ahead and end our stream today. We'd like to thank everybody for coming out and joining us for Breakout Racing League Formula One Tier 2. Make sure that if you liked this broadcast today, that you join us for the next broadcast, which will start in approximately 28 minutes. That will be Dan the Man streaming the Breakout Racing League Formula One Tier 1 race. Come watch some of the fastest drivers on the game. I'm telling you, some of them up front are the fastest guys on this game. They're almost unbeatable, and it's fun to watch them all race each other. Please come out and support those guys in Tier 1. And make sure that you tune in on Mondays to watch Tier 3. Some amazing racing happens in Tier 3. So be sure to join in and watch those guys. And there is talk that we may be doing something throughout the middle of the week. Just some sort of like a week-end review of all the racing that happened for the round. So we'll let y'all know about that here in the future. But this is BRL Aldifer and BRL Blue Flag saying thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to see y'all next time.